Even when I've left, I do right by you. I'll be your everything, your blue sky. I go to war, I'll fight. Damn right. Even when I've left, I do right by you. I'll be your everything.
Welcome back to the Professional Stepdad Show. I am your host, Franco Zavala. This is episode 63, inching closer and closer to episode 100. Pretty excited about getting to that mark, mainly because it's a goal I set before the end of the year. So I've got a lot of work to do. If you have not yet, please like, subscribe, share, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. The objective is to build a platform so that I may extend my ideas, routines, things that have worked for me as a stepdad to as many stepdads as possible, whether you find yourself in your rookie season or you're a pro. Today's episode is going to be a little bit hitting home. It's going to hit home for my personal life because I've been struggling on how I should share this with you as a stepdad. And it's funny that I've been dealing with it, but it hasn't hit me in the face until recently, going 10 years in, and I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling because I so desperately, I love my children, my 5 stepkids. They are technically my stepkids, but they're my children, and I love them to death. And I would do anything for them, and I don't see them any other way than my children. Although they are not biologically mine, we have built and developed relationships over an amount of time that has created such trust with all of us that when I refer to them or I talk about them, you would never know that they were my stepchildren unless you saw me with them and or you heard me say it, which I never do unless I'm sharing with you guys. So what I'm struggling with is this. So my sister, I have an older sister, she's got 2 sons, Michael and Nick, and they are my parents. They're their grandchildren, right? By blood, they're grandchildren. And my 5 kids are not by blood. They are their grandchildren, but not by blood. And I never felt, maybe I felt, but I pushed it down. But I never thought that it was going to affect me, or I never thought that they would see my children in any other way. Because, we've been nothing but loving and caring and wanting to share our life with my parents and with my other family members. And I'm struggling with what I'm struggling with is that I just now realized over the last week that my parents only see my kids so my wife's name is Janaea. So when I refer to Janaea, that's her. So my wife. My parents only see my children as Janaea's kids, as my wife's kids, not mine. And because they don't see them as biologically bloodline theirs, they do not and will not go out of their way to see them, to make time for them like grandparents do. And I thought we moved past that. I thought we were past that, and we're not. Because recently here, my sister came into town, and my parents, I've been begging them. My parents live 3.5 hours away from me, guys. And I struggled to get them to come up and visit, just to say hello. To visit, to get to know the kids. Let's go camping, Dad, and take my son. I struggle. They're always giving me a reason why they can't make it. COVID this, we're not feeling good that, when your mother's better this, after my surgery that. And then my sister makes an announcement that she's going to be in town for a few days. And my parents drop everything and make it up here to stay with her. And guys, it hit me. It just really hit me hard. Now, am I upset and mad where I'm holding some sort of a grudge? No, that's not me. It's not what I do. I don't have time for that. Even though they're my parents, I don't have time to hold grudges and to blame and to have a hate in my heart, because that's not what I have. But stepdads, I'm telling you this story that's going on with me because you never know. Remember, everybody's journey is different. When you think you have it all figured out, something new happens. When you're dealing with bloodlines and you're dealing with DNA, certain family members, and for me, it's including my parents, I guess they'll never see my children as any part of their world when it comes to family. And it hurts me a little bit. It hurts me because of all the things that I do for them. It hurts me because of how nice my children are and respectful they are, and how loving my kids are. And the fact that they don't feel like they are obligated to go out of their way to get to know them it hurts a little bit. And then on the flip side of that coin, my parents will say things that, why can't we see? When are we going to see you? We're going to be up and we're going to be visiting for a week. We'd love to see you. And in my head, I'm thinking, love to see me? Like, you've had 4 months. In the last 4 months, just alone to come up and say hello. And you give me every reason why you can't, but then you drop everything once your biological grandchildren come into town. So I want all you stepdads to understand that not everybody's going to understand why we do this. Not everybody's going to agree with the fact that we see our children the way we do. They're not my stepkids. They're my children. And I love them and I would die for them. I don't see them any other way. The only time I even know them as my stepkids is when somebody tells me or reminds me or brings it up. Because I don't live like that. It's not in my subconscious. I don't think like that. And it just goes to show, gentlemen, that as you move through your journey and as you try to become the very best leader, mentor, and father that you could be, you think everybody's on your team and you think everybody understands what you're doing. And the truth is they don't. They'll never fully understand why we're here, why you do it, why we made the decision to step in, why we made the decision to love somebody else's biological kids. And sometimes you have to face the hard truths that bloodlines will mess things up. I really wish my mom and my dad would see my kids as their grandkids, because man, they love my parents. My kids love my parents. And they are always so respectful when they come into town. But when I look back and I trace back the dots, I realize that my parents really never made a full commitment to even get to know them. And it kills me. But I got to keep pushing through, right? Because I've got responsibilities. I've got a journey. I've got this fire inside of me to be better, to do better. And I'm glad this has happened. I'm really glad this has happened, guys, because it's showing me how not to be. It's showing me what I'll never do. If my kids end up being step parents, I'll never look at their kids as anything other than kids and love and but that's, I guess it's just the kind of person that I am. But the bloodline, when it breaks, or when you're dealing with individuals that just don't want to take the time to even get to know your kids. Listen, I've been in my son's life. My son is my youngest. He's going to be 12 this year. I came into his life when he was 6 months old. And he's awesome. And I got to know him. And he's my boy. And my girls are my girls. And they're so special. Every one of them are so uniquely just amazing and creative and smart and funny. And they have my traits. They do the things that I do. Just because they're not my DNA. Just because they are not my DNA doesn't mean that they don't have me, a part of me about them. They show it because they listen, and we've been together for so long, and we've built this trust. And love is the thing. Blood, it doesn't matter. And just when you think stepdads that you have it figured out, just when you think everything's about that you're on the back nine and you're under par, you shank one to the right, or it starts raining, and the game's called for that day. Listen, I could be upset, for sure. I feel like I have a right to be upset. Especially, it'd be different if I wasn't that son that dropped everything for my family to help them. Sometimes they forget that I've got 5 children and responsibilities. They think that I could just drop everything, like when I was single and I was able to do anything that they needed, and I do everything that I possibly can. So hopefully one day that they'll see maybe they won't. Maybe they won't see him that way. And that's okay. Because I know I'm doing my best. I know I'm becoming the very best man that I can be. I know I'm teaching my children levels of respect and to see things different. And that blood doesn't make family. Love does. And trust does. Because I know plenty of blood families that don't have love and trust. And I refuse to apologize to anyone for the path that I chose in my life and shit. I don't even think I chose it. It was like divine intervention. So, stepdads, when this happens to you, if this happens to you, if you're dealing with a bloodline issue, if you're dealing with family members that don't want to look at your stepkids as anything other than outsiders and kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not outsiders, but like they're foreigners, or they, like they don't belong because they're not your blood or your color. Color, that's stupid. But you know what I mean. If you find yourself in that, or if you ever find yourself in that, just remember that it is very hard to define the reasons why you're here. It is very hard to define the reasons why you stay, and it's very hard to define the reasons why you choose to get better and to be better, and to use trust and love as the thing that defines you and your family, and has nothing to do with your bloodlines and your DNA. Trust and love. If you can have that as your foundation, if it's built inside of that trust and love, then you won't see each other any other way. And it's a beautiful thing, stepdad. It's a beautiful thing. But don't get bogged down by the negative. Don't get bogged down by the ignorance. Don't get upset at them either. I'm not upset at my parents. I'm not. I'm just not upset at them. Am I disappointed? Sure. But am I upset? No. Because getting upset at them is like sitting in a rocking chair. Or, it gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So, trust, love. Nothing to do with the bloodline, guys. Keep moving forward. Keep doing what you do because it's awesome. You're valued. You're worth it. You're amazing, stepdads. So, guys, this is episode 63. Thank you for coming. Again, if you have not yet, subscribe, share to YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, yada yada, and iTunes. It's everywhere. And I'm very grateful and thankful that I was able to share that story with you today. Talk to you soon.
Damn right. Even when I've left, I do right by you. I'll be your everything.
Quiet on the set, please. Thank you, everybody.